Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, parents were sour at me for making my brother pay me back for damaging my car. Now my father is in jail. Update: my parents were sour at me for making my brother pay for the damage he caused to my car. Now karma is hitting them hard. Brother stole and crashed my Crown Vic, and father beat up random person. Final update. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Parents were sour at me for making my brother pay me back for damaging my car. Now my father is in jail. Well, this is an update to my previous post. This all went down yesterday. My brother promised he'd pay for the damage to my car. And he kept that promise. The body shop guy cut me a deal at a fair price for replacing the damaged front end parts on my Crown Vic. He just asked if I cared whether or not they were OEM. I told him I didn't care if they were OEM as the car is far from new and I didn't need the bill to get too high. I'd thought that the damage was only cosmetic. But there was some minor damage the body shop will need to pull out. But it's not frame damage and is an easy job to straighten out, they told me. There was some minor damage to the fender panels. But they said they're easy to fix. Especially since I don't care that they aren't perfect. And the new parts will be painted in a matching color. So that's good. My brother willingly paid cash in advance to the body shop after getting the quote from them. He seemed all too eager to hand the money over and politely bid me goodbye. I won't say how much it was. But it definitely hurt his savings. Especially after the fine he had to pay for driving without a license. He was wanting to get a replacement car. But he won't have one till his license suspension is over anyway. And I don't know when that'll be. But I think it's gonna be a good while. Anyway, my parents had given my brother a ride to the body shop. And as soon as he was out the door, they stayed and admonished me for making him spend all his money fixing my car. I imagine they were about to say something about how I should have just lent my car to him to begin with, and how this all would have been prevented if I had. But something in me snapped, and I cut them off. And that's when it spilled out. I called them out on everything that came to mind. All of the favoritism. How they act like my brother has always been more important. How I had to move in with my uncle just to escape their unfair treatment. How they let my brother steal my car and then tried to lie to me until I threatened police. How they themselves tried to lie to police by saying I was the one driving when my brother crashed my Crown Vic. And so much more. And I ended it all with saying how stupid it was that they were mad at me for making my brother pay for the damage that he caused by stealing my car on Christmas Day and driving it without a license and while intoxicated. By the time I finally stopped, I was nearly out of breath. My mother was crying. My father was red in the face and looked like he was about to explode. Then he just took my mother by the hand and started to walk out. But some guy I don't know that was sitting near the door blurted out, "You guys are narcissists." Well, that was enough to set my father over the edge as he started attacking the guy. My father is not a small man. And he knows how to throw a punch. So he started beating the crap out of the poor guy like a mad gorilla. I yelled for the clerk to call the cops. And they did. My father heard that and bolted out the door and drove off. He actually left my mother behind crying in the lobby. Police had to pick him up at home. And he surprisingly cooperated when he was arrested. But he's looking at charges for assault. The guy he beat up suffered a very swollen black eye and a possible broken nose and concussion. I was there when they were loading him into the ambulance to get him to the hospital. My mother has called me crying and blaming herself. My uncle is saying it was about time my dad tasted some karma. And my brother is doing everything he can to stay out of it. This is not how I thought this was all going to go down. Edit: I was gone for a day and came back to over 130 messages in my inbox. Thank you all for so much support. It's just too many comments for me to reply to them all. But I am reading them. And I'm glad so many understand how crappy my parents are. Dude was right, they sound like narcissists. Bless this man for calling that shit out, but I'm so sad that he caught a beatdown for telling the truth. Good, she's blaming herself. If their actions had been better, it wouldn't have gotten there, and your father is getting karma. Actions have consequences. She will find a way to make herself the victim inevitably. Classic narcissist. But will you, Dad, learn? Why is your mother pestering you about blaming herself? I am sorry you went through that. Update: my parents were sour at me for making my brother pay for the damage he caused to my car. Now karma is hitting them hard. Well, my father is out of jail now. And I'm told he looks like crap. My mother paid his bail, and he came out looking nearly as beat up as what he did to the guy he attacked. Apparently, he picked a fight while in jail over the weekend and got swarmed by other people there. My uncle went with my mother when my father was let out and described to me what he looked like. He said he's got 2 black eyes, dark bruises everywhere, a fat lip, and he's missing a tooth. My uncle said he didn't try to blame anything on me. In fact, he barely talked. Just got in the minivan with my mother and went home. And I did manage to get in contact with the guy my father beat up. A friend of a friend knows him. I'll call him Dan for the sake of telling this. My father beat Dan up pretty bad. He's got a concussion from his head hitting the wall after taking several punches. His nose was indeed broken, he's in a neck brace, and he spent 2 days in the hospital. When I asked him what his plans were, he confirmed he is indeed going to be suing my father, and has already spoken to a lawyer. I told him to do what he has to do. Beyond that, I have no details on the case. My friends and I put together a gift basket for Dan. And we each put some money into it since he's not going to be able to go to work for a while. My uncle even contributed, even though he didn't have to. Dan was very thankful when we presented it to him. My mother hasn't tried to call or text me since my father was released. But my brother has told me through texts that she's still been crying a bit. And my father has remained pretty much silent since he got home and hardly leaves the couch. The last time my father was like this, he didn't speak to anyone for at least a week. But this situation is way worse than what made him go silent last time. Karma nailed him and your mom. Hope they enjoy spoiling your brother with pennies, cause that's all they will have left after Dan sues them. I'm glad you guys are looking out for him. You're a good person. I have no idea how much Dan will sue them for. But my parents will likely take a hit to their retirement savings. Oh my lord, I also read your stories and I am so glad that you have an uncle that is amazing and helps you. I honestly hope they learned their lesson, as it seems that karma has really hit them hard. If anything, at least you have an amazing support system that will stand up for you and help you. P.S. I hope Dan will be okay. Dan told me his doctor said he should make a full recovery in time. But he's gonna be in pain for a good while from that concussion. Yeah, my uncle has been amazing though all of this. He's never liked my father. And I don't blame him. Brother stole and crashed my Crown Vic, and father beat up random person. Final update. I know it's been months. But I finally have an update for everyone. The guy my father beat up is doing fine now. Other than needing to have his nose fixed, the rest of his wounds healed fine. He filed a lawsuit against my parents. And my father was initially stubborn as an ox about it and was dead set on fighting it. But he ended up changing his mind. Why? Well, for multiple reasons. The first one being someone in the middle of the night broke several of the windows on my parents' minivan. My uncle says that the police were pretty sure it was done with a BB gun. I guess that makes sense. But no culprit was found. My father replaced the windows on the van himself as he's done it before. And no one has vandalized the vehicle since. But I think whoever did it may be friends or family with the guy my father beat the shit out of. The next thing was my father was told by a lawyer that he had no chance of winning in court. There was CCTV footage, multiple witnesses, including myself, and no judge in their right mind would want to listen to my father. The last thing that made him change his mind was my mother threatened to divorce him. And I guess that was enough for him to finally surrender in mediation before the lawsuit went to full court. He settled with the guy he beat up in the mechanic shop for an amount that I haven't been able to find out, as my mother won't tell me. But I'm guessing it was a lot. My father also has been forced to go to anger management as part of the agreement. I've only saw him a few times the past few months. And it's pretty obvious he's still mad at me, because he avoids looking at me and constantly looks mad. But after everything that's happened, he no longer has a way to justify his anger. Not even to himself. He just sits quietly and fumes. He's also apparently cut back on drinking a lot. Probably because that's one less expense he and my mother would have to deal with. Now on to my brother. You may all be pleased to hear that he's been working hard to mend things with me. He's moved out of our parents' house and in with a friend. He's got his license back, but no car as he can't afford one yet. Instead, he's been riding a bike to get to work. His relationship with our parents is more strained now though. After a while our father started turning his ire on my brother. He finally started blaming him for all of the shit that happened over the holidays. And our mother had to make him calm down. He's a lot calmer now since he started going to anger management. But it's obvious he still hates me. But it's not like my parents are offering to do family therapy or couples therapy with each other. And I suspect the reason why is because my father doesn't want more people telling him he's wrong. My mother, brother, and uncle all agree with that too. My father is still employed. His clientele dropped for a while, but he's back on his feet now. My mother says he wants to get a denture made at the dentist for his missing teeth. Yeah, turns out he lost more than one tooth after getting out of jail. It was just one initially. But several of his upper teeth were already in bad shape. And he had to have several of them pulled. So he's missing 6 teeth on the upper left side of his mouth now. A lot of people in my early posts chastised my uncle for keeping my brother's DUI from getting filed. And I was on the fence about that myself. My uncle read a lot of the comments, and finally after a few months said that he'll never do something like that again. No matter who it is. I agreed with him, and my brother knows too. So no one is ever gonna expect my uncle will just fix something if they get arrested. So that's my final update everyone. See you all later. P.S. Yes, my car is doing fine. It has a tracker and a kill switch now. And there have been no mechanical issues with it since it was repaired. Thanks for the update. Hope there aren't any more blow-ups on the horizon. Ah, Crown Vic dude. Don't worry, shout the car BYW, those are tough lip buggers. Glad to see it's coming round though. Sounds like dad is a lost cause. Too bad for him. At least your brother finally learned from everything and left that toxic household. Good for him. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.